DoctorAche reviews Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Short review. Very good movie that was a welcome surprise and breath of fresh air. The animation was unique and very good. Voice acting is fantastic and the writing is great. Interestingly and unexpectedly hysterical also. Writing gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Great writing. I was afraid because this is Sony and they seem to be more interested in making long-term money in the form of cinematic universes / sequels at the expense of a good story. But this film is not that. This story is new and fun and not hollow. I really enjoyed this movie and their jokes were really funny and they even made fun of themselves a few times and it's great. Beginning, I'm giving an 8 out of 10. I really like the opening logos. The beginning is also pretty good, and we get an introduction to Miles right away, and we meet his father and his optimism for school, etc. And it's just really well executed and fun. We get to see sort of his daily routine, and it sets the circumstances of his life at that moment in time. Ending, I'm giving a 7 out of 10. Really optimistic and happy. Lots of character growth. And the Stan Lee thank you was really well appreciated. And the credit animation was also great. I really liked it. Characters, I'm giving a 7 out of 10. Really good characters in this movie. They're realistic and they're relatable. Good character growths for Miles as well as a few of the other Spider people. Really good. Performances, I'm giving an 8. The voice acting was fantastic in this movie. Timing gets a 7 for me. Really good pacing, in my opinion. Sound gets an 8. The sound effects were great throughout, and the sound choices and for the machines and the spider sense and the webs were all great choices. Score, I'm giving a 7 out of 10. The score was very good, and the music choices, like the soundtrack, were fantastic. Visuals, I'm giving an 8. The animation, at first, felt off for me. It felt a little choppy and like things were out of focus, like double or triple vision, like you're watching a 3D movie without the glasses. But I did come around to loving it in just a few minutes of getting used to it. It really feels like you're reading a comic book, actually, and I love the thought / text bubbles that come up. They're great, and I like that they only come up after Miles is bit by the spider. Also, there's a texture to the animation that makes it just feel like you're watching a movie through, like, Spider-Man's mask, which is great because the message of this movie is literally anyone can wear the mask. And if you look at this movie as if you're watching it through the mask, they're basically saying, hey, you're Spider-Man. Also, the double or triple vision thing was probably there on purpose to signify the different dimensions. And I thought that was really cool once I thought of it that way. The animation was a huge risk, and they didn't just kind of dip their toe into it. They full-on committed to it, and it paid off. I really liked the animation. Editing gets an 8 out of 10 from me. The editing was amazing. I loved all the little details in the background. The A's that follow Miles when he fell off the roof when he was jumping. The bonk in the background when the guy got hit in the head with the bagel. It was just all... I love those little details. Really great editing. And the scenes kind of cut together pretty well as well. Antagonist, I'm giving a 6 out of 10. Kingpin was good, and I'm glad that they gave him actual motivation rather than just being evil for the sake of being evil. Although I feel like most of this movie's conflict come from just the Spider People's character arcs and just the characters in general, rather than the actual antagonist, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. This movie did not make me cry, although the speech where Miles' father gives him when Miles is webbed up in his dorm room and he can't talk or move right after his uncle died, and his father came to basically tell him that it's okay and everything like that. It got me choked up a little bit. I could see someone, dropping a tear or two from that. It really well executed. yeah. Message, I'm giving an 8 out of 10. The message is anyone can be Spider-Man, and everyone is Spider-Man. Anyone can wear the mask. And I like that message. Impact is 8 out of 10. This shockingly had emotional impact for me. The speech I talked about, the uncle dying, the spider people going back, and just really good writing made this movie much more impactful than I ever thought or expected it would be. Production value gets an 8 out of 10 from me. This movie spared no expense. Animation was great, voice acting great, the writing great. Just, they did everything right. Overall enjoyability, 9 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I want to watch it again really badly. I laughed out loud, hard, a lot. It was much better than I thought it would have been. Really great movie. Rewatchability / recommendability, yes, yes, yes. I want to watch it again. I recommend it to all of you, and I actually did see it twice, almost back to back in the theaters. Really, really good when it comes to rewatchability, and I do highly recommend. Now for the pros and cons time. Now for the nitpicks. Alright. Pros. I really liked the opening logos. I thought they were really cool. The opening montage of Miles getting ready for school was fun and funny, and you could sort of get to see his daily routine and that sort of thing. And the video in class, when he first meets Gwen, the video in the background is actually DoctorAche talking about the multiple dimensions. It's great foreshadowing and background information that, and I didn't even notice it was DoctorAche the first time I watched the movie, because obviously you don't know who DoctorAche is yet at that point in the movie. And it's just really good overall background information as well. Really well done. The animation is obviously a win, as I already said. I like that he's wearing Sony headphones in a couple of the scenes, like when he's just kind of relaxing, listening to music. It's product placement done well, in my opinion. I thought it was good. They weren't like forcing it on you, and it was animated, so it just kind of, it fit. It worked. Voice acting, as I said, was great. The soundtrack, really good. The spider changing colors when it's on the paint can, when Miles and his uncle are spray painting that little area, how it blends into the paint can. I thought that was really cool, and it makes sense later on when you see that Miles has that ability as well. And I thought it was really funny how they did that epic, the spider climbs on him, it bites him, it goes into his bloodstream, and then they cut, and Miles is just like, I thought that was just the funniest thing. This movie is just super funny. I like that once he got bit, that's when the text bubbles start, and the thought bubbles. I really like that. There are a lot of really engaging scenes in this movie that you just don't want to take your eyes off the screen, and that's great. I cannot believe that they killed off Spider-Man. Like, they didn't pull the punch. They killed that universe's Spider-Man. They killed Peter Parker. Wow. I can't believe they didn't pull that punch. Like, yes, there's another Peter Parker in the movie, but he's from a different dimension. Like, they killed Spider-Man in a PG animated Spider-Man movie. What? Okay. And I love that the city mourns. Like, Spider-Man's identity gets revealed, and the city is actually mourning his death. I love that. Like, people actually loved him in this universe. The Stan Lee cameo was also great, and I love that the first thing out of his mouth was, "I'm gonna miss him." That's just so fitting. It's just perfect. The song choices, like I said, were great. Like I said before, when Miles was jumping off the roof, testing out his spider abilities, and as he's falling, the A's that follow, I thought was really funny. And also the mirror to that is later on in the movie when he finally has his powers going, and he is able to do everything on command, and he woo as he swings up. There's the woo that follows him too, like the ahs when he falls down and the woo when he goes up. I thought that was really cool, mirror effect. Also, Peter B. Parker's intro is great. I loved all the little details. Like, if you look in the background, Coca-Cola is with a K instead of a C. There's a Red Man Group instead of Blue Man Group. It's PDNY instead of NYPD. Just little things like that I like. I don't know, maybe I'm weird. I like that even though they took the deadbeat Spider-Man approach, that he still was really good at being Spider-Man. Like, he was sort of just bored with it at that point. Like, he'd just done it so many times. He even says at one point in his intro, I saved the world a bunch of times, maybe too many, and it worked. I thought that was great. Also, I loved the DoctorAche reveal. It was really well done, in my opinion. And, you know, expectation subversion. Good on them. I love when they get discovered in Alchemex. Someone shouts, "He took a bagel!" And then he hands it to Miles and takes the computer, and Miles just kind of throws it behind him, and it bonks someone on the head in the background. I just thought it was really funny. Another thing is, I love the line when Gwen gets revealed to be Spider-Girl or Spider-Woman. Or Spider-Gwen, excuse me. Miles goes, how many spider people are there? And Peter B. Parker says, save it for Comic-Con. I just thought that was so funny. And I love the spider lair and all of the suits in the background. They were so cool. And the intros to all the three other spider people were freaking hysterical. The Rubik's Cube scene is also really funny. And if you look at Penny Parker's face in the background in almost every scene, you will laugh. Like, her face is just really funny. Another pro is, I love the line, hey man, this is a pretty messed up origin story. I thought it was just really funny and, you know, sort of self-aware and all that. Another pro is the speech, like I said before, that Miles' dad gives him is just really emotional and really just great. I loved the speech. And when Miles focuses and shocks the webs off of him, the animation on the webs when they explode everywhere is freaking beautiful. Like, look at the webs. They look awesome. And the score, obviously great, as I said. And the song and the montage when Miles gets his suit and spray paints and he's using his power, swinging through the city, going, you know, to go help the other spider people. It's just such a great scene. Very uplifting and energizing. I like the whole ending. I'm not going to go into the specific things I liked about it because there's too much. But I really liked that they dodged the dad hates new Spider-Man trope. Like the, you know, Green Goblin thing or whatever you want to call it. Because Miles' father thinks that Spider-Man, that new Spider-Man, was involved in the death of his brother. And I'm glad that they didn't have him hone in on that, and he was able to be like, okay, maybe I don't know the full details, and I'm going to accept this new Spider-Man because he did save the day and all that. I like that they didn't go with that dad hates Spider-Man trope. The message, anyone can wear the mask, is really good. The credits are really funny. Like, that credit animation, all the stuff that's going on is funny. The Stan Lee thank you was so appreciated. And then the after credit scene literally had me rolling. I was barking with laughter in the movie theater. It was so funny to me. Okay, now we get to move on to the cons. Alright. First one here, not really a con, more just a question. How did Miles get Gwen's hair off of his hand? Like, it wouldn't let go, and the nurse had to cut her hair so that they could get his hand off of her head. Yet, like, a couple cuts later, a couple shots later, the hair is just kind of gone off of Miles' hand. He kind of, like, wipes it off or washes or something, I don't know. And it's just kind of gone. How did he get it off? It's just a little question, not really a sort of nitpick, I guess. Another is, why doesn't everything Miles touches stick? Especially like when he first becomes Spider-Man. Like, he'll run into stuff and it'll stick, and then he'll touch other stuff and it won't. And it just, what's the deciding factor there? I don't know. Kingpin wants to bring his wife and child back from another dimension to be with him. Okay? But wouldn't they keep dying painfully from being in the wrong dimension? Sort of like DoctorAche says to Peter B. Parker. Like, oh, it's going to be painful, all your atoms, ripping apart, and I can't wait to watch. Great scene. She should know that the same thing's going to happen to Kingpin's wife and kid. I mean, sure, she probably knows that, and she's just kind of like, oh, I'll just get him more, I'll just get him more, I'll just get him more. But I feel like that's something Kingpin wouldn't want. I don't know. Another just kind of nitpick. DoctorAche she just is sort of like a exposition dump in a couple of scenes, talking about the the different dimensions and all that. And yeah, minor little nitpick. You need exposition for you to understand the story, but whatever. When Miles, Peter B. Parker, and Gwen all go to Aunt May's house, why is she so shocked that she drops her bat when she sees the three of them? Like, she's already seen the other three, and the other three are, like, way stranger. Like, there's a pig, there's a girl from 1,000 years in the future with a robot spider, or a spider that lives inside a robot. There's a black and white Spider-Man from, like, the 20s. Like, why would seeing Miles, Gwen, and Peter B. Parker make her drop her bat? Like, yeah, it's Peter Parker, it's, like her seeing her nephew again, and I get that, but that would be more of like an emotional, oh my god, rather than a shocked, oh my god, there's spider people here. You know what I mean? Another con is, it's predictable that Miles' uncle is one of the villains, but they did execute it well, and the movie is not full of itself when it reveals it. Like, I like that it just kind of reveals it and moves on instead of being like, whoa, this is mind-blowing, right? Like, I liked that about it. Another con here is, why was MJ at Kingpin's dinner? Like, she was married to that universe's Peter Parker, who Kingpin killed. She should know from Spider-Man that Kingpin is a bad guy. And even if she didn't know that from Peter, she is like a reporter, isn't she, in this universe? Like, shouldn't she know something along those lines? I don't know. It just, why would she be at that dinner? When the spider people break into Kingpin's machine thing again, like the dimensional machine, why, like, it's a trap, right? Why would Kingpin let them get that close to shutting it down before stopping them? It just doesn't really make any sense. And also, if Peter hadn't hesitated, like, the spider sense man would go, wait a minute, it's a trap. Like, if he hadn't hesitated with that, wait a minute, he could have just click, boom, blown up. Like, sure, they might not have been able to get back to their dimensions if they did that, but he would have stopped the machine. And that was sort of their main goal. Another thing is, when Miles first tries to get Peter to help him, shut down the machine and send him back to his reality and all that, Peter is like not on board. He's like, nope, I'm just going home. I'm not shutting it down. I'm not helping you. I'm not doing anything like that. Why does he flip all of a sudden? Like, it's like when the other spider people arrive, he's kind of like, all right, I gotta save face, and do the right thing. Like, yeah, they do the whole, oh, making you guilty, fine, it worked, let's do it. But, I don't know, it's just one of those minor little things. Also, how did, the spider people know which dimension was theirs? Like, it's not like their dimensions are labeled when you're in them. Like, so how did they know, click, 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 okay, this is your dimension, whoosh, okay, click, 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 this is yours. Like, how did they know which dimensions were theirs? And even if they could see, okay, these are the six that the six of us came, or here are the five that the five of us came from, how would they know which is which? They wouldn't. And the whole, if they're coming from a different dimension, why are they jumping through time? That's another weird little question there. Why did Kingpin let Peter get back up? Like, he hits him and he's down. Or, why would Kingpin let him go back up? Like, it just doesn't really make much sense. He could have stopped him, but he just sort of let him go back into his dimension. It doesn't really make any sense. How is it that Miles survived Kingpin's brutal Hulk smash when that universe's Peter Parker didn't? Like, and why after that big blow didn't kill him? Why did Kingpin let Miles get back up? Like, he sees Miles moving and Kingpin's just kind of looking at him, watching him. Like, he lets him get back up. He doesn't do another Hulk smash. Like, it doesn't really make all that much sense. And why doesn't Peter ever, like, in their fight, decide to shock Kingpin? Like, at the end of the fight, I'm pretty sure he does, but, like, during the fight, it would have been all too easy. Zap, Kingpin's, like, not punching him anymore. Zap, Kingpin's paralyzed. Zap, Kingpin's over here. I don't know. Alright, that's it for the pros and cons. This is not a pro nor a con, it's more of a comment. Kingpin's wife, Vanessa, looks a lot like Rogue from the X-Men. That's just like an interesting little thing. I don't know if that's what they were going for or what. Also, Miles' roommate knows he's Spider-Man. I'm wondering how they're gonna, play into that and such. Is he gonna be like the Ned from Homecoming where, the guy in the chair or what? I'm not sure. Okay, final thoughts. Really great movie. So freaking good. Check it out. I laughed a lot harder watching this than I have in a really long time. It really does a good job giving us a fresh take on Spider-Man, and it's appreciated. I'm really glad that they didn't take the easy cash grab approach, and they actually gave us a well-written and told story. Rating from 1 to 10 gets an 8. 8 out of 10 from me. This concludes my review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If you want to see more videos by me, click the thingies. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you have any suggestions for future reviews, let me know those as well. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share this if you'd like to, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!